Hello, my dear friend. In this video, I want to address what are the signposts of a genuine spiritual awakening. The reason I want to talk about it is because many sincere seekers on the path that I meet very often get frustrated or confused because they read certain books, and these books describe spiritual awakenings in all kinds of colorful and splendid and outworldly way. And they feel like they're never getting any close to that. And it's really frustrating and deflating. So I want to use this opportunity to really clarify what is spiritual awakening and what are the signposts, what are like the symptoms, the core changes, we can say, that happen in spiritual awakening, so that hopefully you, the spiritual seeker, or anybody watching this video and cares about true spiritual transformation and awakening and liberation, will be more at ease and calm in their journey, more clear. Many books, especially those coming from India, I guess some of you have read them, maybe Autobiography of a Yogi, or I don't know, all kinds of biographies of swamis and gurus and whatnot, describe very splendid experiences of awakening. Seeing otherworldly things, experiencing, I don't know, like an omniscience and omnipresence and all kinds of spiritual powers awakening, and knowing all their past lifetimes, and knowing everything about everyone, and experiencing perfect oneness with everything, and knowing the secrets of the universe, and so on and so forth. And one reads this, and one doesn't necessarily experience these things. And they seem so far and so unreachable. And then what happens, and here I'm going to tell you something very interesting, that some people actually already step into spiritual awakening, but because they compare their experience to all these marvelous stories, almost like fairy tales, I would say, they simply overlook the fact that awakening has already settled in their being. Which brings me to the point that awakening, spiritual awakening, is not some kind of display of fireworks. The essence of awakening is very simple, and it's not foreign to you. The essence of awakening is coming to see clearly and experience for yourself that what you are, always, what you've always been, is not the person that you think yourself to be or thought yourself to be, not the storyline with the past and the future, but rather a pure essence living this body. A pure light, a pure beingness, a pure consciousness that is living this body. The very intelligence, the very shining element that radiates through your eyes to the outside world. This beauty, this radiance, this intelligence, because it has a sense of intelligence. Your very sense of existence has a sense of intelligence to it. That is what you are. You are that radiance. You are that shining light. You are that pure consciousness, pristine and clear. You are that intelligence. This openness, open intelligence, open consciousness, looking through a human body. Awakening is realizing that in a profound way, in a way that settles inside of you. You see, there don't have to be any spectacular experiences. Not everybody has them. Sometimes, for reasons that I cannot even know, people experience all kinds of phenomena. I myself, in my own journey, I experienced many spectacular things, not necessarily all at once. And I know many people who experienced many spectacular things, some of them much more spectacular than I did. I know also people who experienced many spectacular things that never realized spiritual awakening. You see, the thing is, life is full of unbelievable experiences. But what do experiences have to do with realizing the nature of the experiencer? I can experience anything and everything. But what does it have to do with knowing what and who is experiencing? You see the difference? I can experience past lifetimes. I can experience abilities to see into the future or into the past, or seeing auras, or seeing angels, or seeing other dimensions. Yeah? But does it mean I know who or what I am? Do you see the difference? If you're searching or conditioning, knowing who you are, which is something, by the way, that's available at any moment, yeah? If you're conditioning it by comparing it all the time to certain experiences that need to happen, you're gonna make yourself a very hard time. Why? Because what you are is the same thing, yeah? Thing, it's a no thing, but it is the same thing whether you're experiencing something spectacular or whether you're experiencing something completely ordinary. Right now, sitting in front of the camera talking to you, or sitting, I don't know, in front of a display of falling stars in the sky, I don't know what, yeah? What I am is exactly the same. It doesn't change. What I'm experiencing might change. I might experience something more exhilarating or exciting, or at another time something more calm and neutral. But what I am is the same, and that is a signpost of mature spiritual awakening. You see, when people talk about too many experiences, oh, and I can see past lives, and I can see the auras of everything, yeah, I'm spiritually awakened, and this is happening, and that is happening, I would be a little cautious. Doesn't mean that awakening has not occurred necessarily in that person, but it might mean they're a little bit confusing it with other things that come online as a result of spiritual awakening, which makes you more open and sometimes brings online certain capacities and sensitivities. But spiritual awakening in and of itself is the simple and clear realization of what you really are. Don't confuse the two. Some signposts of an authentic spiritual awakening is a sense of silence, deep silence that starts to reveal itself, descend, or come from the inside out, and kind of slowly infiltrate your entire being. That's one of the major signposts of awakening. Silence is perhaps one of the most immediate symptoms, we can say, of a genuine spiritual awakening. Another sign of a mature spiritual awakening is when somebody is much more centered and doesn't become excited of negative experience or positive experiences. Simply remains the same no matter what. Doesn't get too excited by all kinds of flatterings. Doesn't get too excited by insults. Simply takes things very lightly. That's another major signpost. Why? Because when you know what you are, when you know that things do not affect you so much, when you know that you are beyond all of these things, in essence, in nature, that they cannot hurt you, then you don't take it too seriously. So here you have already two major signposts, things that are really tangible about what spiritual awakening really is. Another thing is that things come into proportion, right? It's like Another way to look at it is that for an awakened person, things come into proportion. There's a certain sanity that comes online. You do not exaggerate with getting angry. You do not exaggerate with wanting things too much to work your way. You surrender more easily into the flow of life. So this surrender and proportion is another signpost of maturity and spiritual awakening. And I will say another one that comes to mind, and I think it's a very important one, and that is the diminishing of desire. So over time, a genuine spiritual awakening simply fills you, because your own true nature, your own essence, to be rooted in that is very fulfilling. It simply quenches your thirst. Yeah? A thirst to need many, many things, to be this and to be that and to achieve this and to achieve more and to be more and more. No. You just relax. Many things drop after a genuine spiritual awakening occurs. The speed with which they drop is different from person to person. So don't expect them all to drop. Sometimes awakening is a blast and boom, and for people many things drop all at once. Yeah? It doesn't mean that they don't continue dropping later on. They do always. But sometimes, it's like a big bomb. For other people, it's a smaller bomb. And it starts a certain process of falling away. Both are equally real, just with different levels of intensity. But desire starts to fall away, and you feel yourself simply more content. Not because you achieved, on the contrary, because you don't need so much. You become a very simple person in awakening, a very natural person, at ease, light, silent, whole, easygoing, clear. As you can see, the more, if you're sensitive, the more I'm describing what spiritual awakening really is, actually it's silent and clear. There are not too many experiences. Awakening is not an experience, it's the revelation of your true nature in this body, in this human form. A mature awakening is when all experiences fade. The blissful ones, the challenging ones, and all that stays, all that remains is a beautiful, pristine simplicity, a silence, a naturalness. This is why sometimes you will hear this being referred to as the natural state. I hope this video helps you, and I hope it clarifies for you what is the real essence of spiritual awakening.